World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here. I'm John Sneisen, and we are in Spokane, Washington for the Red Pill Expo, which kicks off tomorrow, the 21st. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of great people. We've bumped into quite a few people already out here, and I guess we'll just leave it to you to send us any questions, kind of another makeshift situation like in Monument Valley where we were kind of cutting in and out. Hopefully we don't have an issue like that this time.
I think this one will be a little bit better, Josh.
Yeah, I hope so. We can hope for the best. Anyway, so as you can see, we got a nice little fountain around us. We are close to Wells Fargo building, actually.
We got the little conference right over here. So
yeah, exactly. So anyway, comment away, folks. For some reason on my phone, the comments kind of come and go really fast. So hopefully I'll be able to read it in time. Super chats are always very much appreciated. But anyway, John, I wanted you to go into one of the news stories that's coming up for you a lot recently.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of quick ones. There's currently there's a massive sell-off in emerging markets funds, so in bonds and so on, as we see a lot of that happening before a major market correction in for example, in the United States. So that's a big concern right now. That is starting to look like a lot like something is really happening. Of course, over in the U.S. soon, because there was an article that I recently saw that one of the biggest fund managers in England, he was coming out and saying that we're looking at a big correction because of massively overvalued stock markets all across the board. And you kind of see like a lot of the stock markets are going like this. They're not really going up now, except for the Nasdaq, which we talked about this, the FANG bubble, all of the technological stocks that we're looking at, with not very many, great products out there anymore. They used to innovate and create some better things, but not anymore. And then, of course, there's just one more story that I would talk about, which is Russia just, of course, sold more bonds. And what did they buy? Well, they bought something better than US dollars. They bought gold.
Of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. And obviously, recently we reported on the rather large crash in the gold silver markets due to likely market manipulation by big banksters, and it's blamed on the tariffs. So I don't know about that. But it's really interesting what's going on in Russia right now. Of course, they were talking recently about doubling their mining potential when it comes to gold, which is huge. Oh, we got Stephen Kendall tuning in. Looking great, guys. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been too long, man. We gotta hook something up and talk with you again soon, because we finally got our equipment up and running for live interview. Well, not live interviews, but for recorded interviews. We don't use Skype anymore. Skype is absolute trash. We've had way too many problems with it. But anyway, we got Barry Dutton as well. Good guy that you should all check out on Steemit. And anyway, so yeah, what we were talking about was what's going on in Russia right now. It's a massive power shift. It's incredible.
Well, the thing is, I've just been reading a book called what is it called again now? kind of had a brain fart there. It's called
it's about the G30, I think.
Well, it's about the creation of the new the architecture of the creation of the new architecture of the global financial system.
Sounded like Trudeau there for a second.
Yeah, well, it's by anyways, it's with a guy called Stu P. McIntosh, and he's the head of G30, and he was talking about Russia and when they annexed Crimea and how much of a kerfuffle that was, and when they had the G20 in Russia, actually Russia ended up just walking out because Russia seems to be a little bit, they're kind of the oddball in the ring right now, where a lot of the Western countries, because there's so much debt problems, they're together, working together, as one core, through the G20, and with their central bankers in the Financial Stability Board, which you got Mark Carney running over at the Bank of England. So there's a lot of structure there that they're trying to create, but the problem is that structure is kind of falling apart again, because they said in order to make a massive change in the banking system and regulate it, because they want the return of state authority, they're saying they are looking at, of course, implementing a lot of things that the Russians really doesn't like, because they're more nationalistic. They care more about their local economy. And so on, and that's what you see now, because the crises are over. He was writing in the book in 2015 when his book was published. The crises are over, but the problem is the crises are not over. You guys just shoved a whole bunch of money, SDRs. They did massive SDR bailout fund and so on. So they just put a whole bunch of more cash into the system and just create more and more inflation over time. It's got to come to a point where people are going to say, I'm not going to take this devalued currency anymore. I was looking at a video from the US where people can't afford childcare anymore. They can't afford rent. So yeah, it's all about that. It's happening all the time. And it's ridiculous how the whole monetary system kind of is slowly falling apart piece by piece by piece. It's happening very fast, and I'm getting a little bit excited because I think the plan with the whole IMF thing and things, I think it's kind of falling apart because we're looking at now with having cryptocurrencies around, and of course we've got a good old friend gold and silver around. I think what's going to happen is a paradigm shift that people are going to start seeing and really get squeezed by the value of their local currencies, like the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, whatever currency you use in your home country. They're going to start seeing that currency is not going to buy them enough anymore to really survive and have a good life anymore. And then they're going to start asking, like, what the heck is happening to me?
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on?
It's funny. So a little bit slightly off topic, but while we were driving here, John kept telling me the name of this guy, Stuart P. McIntosh. I kept thinking he was saying that the guy's name is Stoopy McIntosh. I couldn't stop laughing. And then after that, it sounded like he was saying his name was Droopy McIntosh. Man, anyway, really mature. But I think we're just going for a little walk, as you can see here in Spokane. And by the way,
there's Wells Fargo.
Oh yeah. Can we see it from here? Where?
Well, it's kind of like below the building now, Josh, so we can't see it anymore.
Oh, okay. Let's walk backwards. Walking backwards,
JP
folks.
Morgan Chase over there, so we're hanging out with the banksters over here, having some good time.
Yeah, and I saw Stephen Kendall commenting, wish he could be here. Yeah, absolutely. I wish you guys, all of those just commenting here, were out here because it's going to be a good time. Lots of networking and talking, and we really got to push the point of cryptocurrency at this event. The idea of decentralized, free market, scarce, of course, cryptocurrency. So we're going to have to work on that because obviously we have to talk to a lot of the older folks that think that all digital currencies must immediately mean it's a mark of the beast or something, which is an issue that we're seeing arise in a lot of places. And we have to be able to talk to people about this and actually make them understand. But here, I got Wells Fargo in the distance. Can we see it? I can zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so Wells Fargo hasn't been having the best time lately, that's for sure.
It's kind of one of our favorite banks, isn't it, Josh?
Oh, yeah.
To bash because they continue to put up good content for us. They continue to do fraudulent things. They continue to fake accounts, create auto insurance for people that are not supposed to have it. It just such a wide array of fraudulent activity that's almost funny. And then of course we can't forget Deutsche Bank currently. We've got to talk about Deutsche Bank and what's happening there, Josh. Deutsche Bank is the reason why we're seeing some issues with Deutsche Bank now is of course Deutsche Bank and Société Générale, the two major banks in France and Germany, has been used to bail out the Eurozone, so specifically Greece and Italy. And what has happened there is that they have a whole bunch of debt now that they're starting to have issues with because it doesn't look like the Italian government might not want to pay their debt. And maybe they'll go back to the lira and exit the European Union, which would be fantastic. But we never know where this is going to end. It's kind of an exciting times a little bit, I think we're starting to see where the whole bailout policies are just starting to crumble and come apart now, because there's been just constant shoving of money into the system, and then of course there's countries that have used austerity. I think austerity is the worst bullshit ever. You're just enslaving people by giving them free money, and then you're just taking it away to make them work for you. I think we should have government austerity. Government austerity would be great because we just need to remove the government itself. It would be fantastic to just constantly, take the government piece by piece and having real austerity, which is actually taking away the government instead of just cutting freebies that they gave in the first place. So I think we're on to some good times ahead, but also some scary times because I don't think the government and the central banks and the banksters are willing to give up their power that easily, right, Josh? So I think we're gonna see.
They're in desperation mode right now, and we could see that every
Yeah.
telltale sign. Obviously, they've been going crazy trying to manipulate markets, tank markets, spread FUD at anyone in the media in order to try and stop Bitcoin. Someone actually commented, Bitcoin a bubble? Not these days. It's kind of, I mean, it was in a crypto bubble where there's a lot of really bad coins out there with no fundamental reason to exist that caused a lot of speculation, people just trying to make money real quick, and yeah, that went down real fast. But that doesn't mean that, you know, cryptocurrencies are dead. Obviously, it's just a beginning. We saw it fall, and hopefully we shake most of the lightweights out, including all of the terrible cryptocurrencies. Of course, it's a free market, so, you know, people will get in with their ideas, and if people reject it, it will be shut down, like pets.com. But with that said, I would say that, I mean, there's still a lot of really bad cryptocurrencies out there, so it's a little bit difficult. Stephen Kendall says, sticking to my $1 million plus Bitcoin prediction. It cut out your comment right as I was reading it, but yeah, Stephen Kendall has been doing incredible analysis over the last several years.
Yeah, actually, I want to mention is, if you want to understand what happened in 2008 or what's a derivative and what that happens with derivatives, search up Stephen Kendall. And then World Alternative Media on YouTube. You find,
I think it's Blockchain 2016
yeah,
video.
2016, yeah. It's probably one of the best ever descriptions of how the whole derivative system worked,
Yeah.
and the buildup of it. So just a fantastic one. I just want to point out one more thing that we were kind of talking about upstairs. And I see with the emerging market kerfuffle starting to happen, you've seen a lot of currencies suddenly devalue and so on. We had Turkey, we had Egypt, we had Uzbekistan has devalued over the last couple of months, and several other currencies. And I think we're starting to see a risk, because a lot of people, especially the banksters, are using what's called carry trade, and they take out leveraged loans and invest them in one currency, and then take it out and then go and bet in another currency. But if they fluctuate too high and too much, you could lose a lot of money. And that's what kind of started the whole thing in 2008 with Iceland and yen carry trade. So it's a little risk there as well, because I'm losing kind of a little bit of breath.
Yeah, we're walking up the stairs here.
Anyways, I see a lot of risk there, because what could happen is there could be a lot of fluctuation between currencies. And when that happens, suddenly look at Venezuela, for example, that have debt in US dollars. Well, their currency is worthless.
Yeah.
Right. So they can't pay back their debt in the US dollars. So they're screwed. They're bankrupt. And a lot of people don't understand that. And we see that a lot of other places too, where they've issued, bonds in one currency, and then their currency goes shit, and then there's literally like nothing left for them to do. So it's a lot of risk.
I really do want to answer some questions here, because it is a Q&A after all. We kind of went off on that, and we need to give John a break to take a breath there. It's weird. I'm the one with asthma, and I'm okay. But yeah, send in your questions. Sorry, they go by super fast. For some reason, I can't keep track of all the comments. They just disappear on the screen. Rika, the hopeful volunteer, says it's beautiful wherever you're walking around at. We're right by the river, the Spokane River in Spokane. It is definitely beautiful. We just walked up by the convention center here. Do you think negative equity is going to treat the Canadian? Man, these comments are disappearing after like 2 seconds.
I'll look them up. I actually I'm looking at you right now, Josh, on our feed.
Okay, yeah, just look on your phone so I could actually see the comments. So stupid how they make this.
Do you think negative equity is going to be a threat to the Canadian economy? Definitely. We see that in Toronto and Vancouver especially, where a lot of houses now are falling into negative equity. And that means, for people that don't know, is when your loan to value, so your loan is more than you actually the value of your house. And that happens all, especially now when the markets are crashing. You're going to see a lot of negative equity, and that's going to really hurt people, because when they try to sell their house, well, they're not going to be able to pay down their mortgage when they sell it, because they're not going to get enough money. So they're going to be stuck in those houses, but maybe they even lose their job, because the businesses are starting to have the same issue and so on. So you're going to see a huge fallout again, and I believe it's going to be a big problem for Canada.
We are running low on battery here, unfortunately, but Bitcoin update, someone asked. Well, I was hoping for a complete triple bottom. We might still see it. I don't know what's going on. We need something. We need to bottom out again to see enough energy in the market, enough people buying in. I'm looking forward to what comes next with Bitcoin, because obviously we have been through a rough period, but it gave us time to pause and understand and realize why Bitcoin exists in the first place, and why it's so amazing, and why we have this free market competing currency system that will continue to innovate. Whether Bitcoin is the one that is the biggest one in a few years from now or not, it doesn't matter. The market will win depending on you, the individual, and what you decide and how you educate yourself and what you think is the best choice for your own purchase, for your own investment, for your own wealth insurance. So I think right now, yeah, it's slow and we don't know what's going to happen next. Anyone who says that they know every absolute with this market isn't telling the truth. You can't personally say next week at this time of day this is going to happen. Same with a crash. The fundamentals are off the table with the monetary system, and the cryptocurrency market is very volatile, so it's really hard to be completely accurate about it, but we can hope for the best. Look at the charts, look at the technical analysis, and see what it has done historically versus now, and the general psychology of the public, which is really important. But I think that we should just hold on. This is a market in its infancy, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. We're just beginning, and mass adoption will come. John, we have about 3% left on the battery.
Yeah.
Last words?
Actually, Stephen Kent, last thing he said is the trade war is simply a cover-up for 1970s inflation run. I think we're actually seeing the trade war, I think it's an excuse for what's going to happen with stock markets and everything. I think we're going to see a lot of, as you said, inflation coming in, because now we're going to, pour debt into the economy and try to, save the economy as you're going to, put in all these trade barriers and so on. But you got to support your local economy. But now the problem is you're going to have to pay so much more for the goods and services because they're not coming from cheap China anymore. So we'll see what's happening there. I think it's you're kind of right at the point there as well, Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. As always, be individually responsible for yourself. For responsibility is a hallmark of freedom itself. Be self-sustainable. Do your own due diligence. Be educated. Understand what you're doing. And if you are completely independent from the system, you will win overall. We have a long way to go still, but we're closer than we ever have been in the past. So we should all be very excited about the way that the tides are turning, and the monetary revolution will go off without a shot fired, and we should all be very excited about that. We have to go because the battery's dying. I tried to charge it as much as I could, but it's not working out. So I'm going to be picking up Dan Dix of Press for Truth from the airport right away, and maybe we'll go live with him in a bit. But either way, it's good talking with you. It's good reaching out to all of you as we are on this road trip, and we have arrived in our location of Spokane, Washington, after an incredible time around the United States. So thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.